The blaster fire came in waves of red death, each bolt singing its own funeral hymn through the thin atmosphere of Concordia. Anakin Skywalker rolled behind a jagged outcropping of moon rock, his lightsaber humming with barely contained energy as another volley scorched the stone inches from his head. The smell of ozone and burnt minerals filled his nostrils. The mission had been simple reconnaissance. Investigate reports of a new Mandalorian faction rising on Concordia, one that rejected both Death Watch's terrorism and Duchess Satine's pacifism. The Jedi Council had assured minimal risk. Their definition of minimal could fill a graveyard. His attackers weren't Death Watch. Their armor bore different markings, ancient symbols from the Temple archives. These warriors moved with generations of precision, their jetpacks cutting arcs through the gray sky like birds of prey. Then the ground shook from impact. A figure landed before him, tall, broad-shouldered, armor gleaming silver and blue in Mandalore's pale light. The warrior's T-vision regarded him for a heartbeat that stretched like eternity. Jedi, you fight like a warrior trapped in a monk's robes. And you are? Someone who recognizes potential. Move, unless you prefer dying confused. Against every instinct the Order had drilled into him, Anakin followed. They ran through Concordia's labyrinthine canyons, Tarek leading with childhood confidence through hidden paths. The sounds of pursuit gradually faded out until only their footfalls echoed off stone. In a hidden alcove, Tarek removed his helmet, revealing a young face with dark hair and steel eyes that held unexpected warmth. He studied Anakin with familiar intensity, speaking of his ancestor Tari Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. His final question hit closer than any blaster bolt could, asking if the Jedi Order ever felt like armor that didn't quite fit. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. We thank you all for your continued support. The enclave beneath Concordia's surface bore the scars of 1,000 years. Blast marks from ancient wars, murals depicting legendary battles, and names of fallen warriors etched in Mandoa script that pulsed like life in torchlight. Young Mandalorians no older than Padawans sparred with vibroblades, their movements a deadly dance where discipline met passion. Unlike the Jedi who suppressed emotion, these warriors channeled it into purpose. Tarek explained the raison-there, 6 actions that defined a Mandalorian: wearing armor, speaking the language, defending family, raising children as warriors, contributing to clan welfare, and answering the Mandalore's call. Each tenet stood in direct opposition to Jedi philosophy, yet resonated with something deep in Anakin's heart. The word family tasted foreign yet sweet on Anakin's tongue. The Jedi preached that attachment led to the dark side, but here warriors drew strength from their bonds. Love gave them something worth fighting for. Around them, Mandalorians shared meals with helmets aside, laughing and arguing with equal passion. A community built on connection rather than detachment. You're married, aren't you? We know how to read a man who fights to protect rather than conquer. How could you possibly— Peace, brother. The Jedi make you hide it, pretend she doesn't exist. We believe the opposite. The truth burned worse than any wound. For the first time, Anakin saw a system that valued everything the Jedi forbade: attachment, protection, family. These warriors didn't fear emotion, they forged it into strength. The Enclave's warmth stood in stark contrast to the Temple's cold halls, and Anakin found himself questioning if the Jedi's emotional detachment was truly moral, or simply another form of weakness disguised as wisdom. Sundari, Mandalore's domed capital, was a monument to Duchess Satine's vision, gleaming spires of transparisteel and duracrete reaching toward an artificial sky, every line designed to reject the planet's warrior heritage. It felt like a beautiful lie, a civilization trying to forget its own nature. Anakin found Obi-Wan in Satine's private chambers, the two standing just far enough apart to maintain propriety, yet close enough that their unresolved tension could be cut with a lightsaber. Old arguments about duty and love hung in the air like morning mist. Then the lights died. Emergency klaxons wailed as Sundari's power grid collapsed in sequence, darkness consuming light, district by district. Through transparisteel windows, they watched their worst fears materialize. The wall exploded inward. Mandalorian warriors in black and red armor poured through, moving with military precision, unlike Death Watch's chaotic berserkers. Anakin's lightsaber became a blur of blue energy, deflecting blaster bolts while Obi-Wan moved to protect Satine. Then she appeared, Bo-Katan Kryze, Satine's sister, her armor bearing night owl markings. Instead of attacking, she landed beside Anakin, her twin pistols eliminating invaders with surgical precision. Not all of us agree with my sister's delusions. Some remember what it means to be a Mandalorian. You dare show your face here after choosing to fight while our people burn? This Jediad understands. Sometimes peace requires war. Together, Anakin and Bo-Katan fought like veterans, Force-enhanced agility complementing tactical precision. When the last attacker fell, she gave him a final appraising look. Her parting words about choosing between a guardian who couldn't protect what he loved versus a warrior who could echoed long after she vanished into Sundari's shadows. The question haunted Anakin more than any Sith teaching ever could. The forge burned with heat transcending the physical. In chambers that had shaped Beskar for millennia, Anakin stood before the ancient anvil, sweat streaming despite the Force's cooling touch. The golden helmeted armorer intoned that Beskar yielded only to understanding. To forge armor was to forge oneself. Tarek took witness alongside Bo-Katan and several knights. Even Obi-Wan had come, his disapproval radiating like the forge's heat. Hammer in hand, Anakin struck glowing Beskar with purpose unlike any Jedi meditation. He didn't suppress emotion, but channeled it. Love for Padme, loyalty to his men, frustration with the Council's restrictions. Each strike was catharsis and creation combined. Then something unprecedented occurrred. His lightsaber's kyber crystal resonated with the Beskar's song. Acting on pure instinct, Anakin removed the crystal and placed it against cooling metal. The forge exploded with light. Then it faded, the armor shimmering with inner radiance. Beskar infused with kyber energy, neither fully Mandalorian nor fully Jedi. The armorer approached with reverence, examining work that shouldn't exist. Impossible! Your sigil. What mark will you bear? Balance. Anakin, this is dangerous. You're losing yourself. Anakin etched a burning star split by a line. Light and dark, duty and passion, divided yet whole. The armorer declared this is the way, with notes of awe and uncertainty. Mandalorians echoed her words while Obi-Wan remained silent, his fear palpable through their force bond. Anakin had created something new, something that belonged to neither tradition, yet honored both. The armor wasn't just protection, it was a declaration of independence from both orders that sought to claim him. War came to Concordia like a storm of fire and steel. Death Watch had found the true Mandalorians reborn, responding with swift mercilessness. The sky filled with warriors, jetpacks painting contrails across gray heavens as Beskar clashed against Beskar in ancient violence. Anakin stood at the vanguard, hybrid armor gleaming, lightsaber in one hand and vibroblade in the other. The Force flowed differently, not the Jedi's cold stream, but a raging river of purpose. The battle lines crashed together with thunderous impact. Anakin moved between forms. Jedi acrobatics blended with Mandalorian brutality, deflecting blaster bolts while his blade found armor gaps. Around him, his brothers fought with inspired ferocity. Captain Rex and the 501st had arrived as reinforcement, their disciplined formations supporting Mandalorian assault tactics. He spotted Tor Vizsla, Death Watch's butcher, overwhelming Bo-Katan. She fought skillfully, but Tor was larger, stronger, utterly merciless. Anakin watched him slam her down, raising his blade for the killing blow. The Force screamed warning, but Anakin was already moving, crossing the battlefield in a blur, his lightsaber intercepting Tor's descending blade. Jedi, you dare interfere in Mandalorian business? I am Mandalorian, and you're done hurting my people. You're nothing but a pretender in stolen armor. The duel was brutal. Tor fought with centuries of tradition, but Anakin fought with purpose beyond himself. When Tor's guard finally dropped from exhaustion, Anakin didn't deliver a killing blow. Instead, he destroyed the man's weapons and jetpack, leaving him defenseless. Some Death Watch warriors dropped their weapons, others fled. In that moment, Anakin felt complete unified purpose. Then Satine arrived with Jedi reinforcements, and everything shattered. Their disapproving gazes fell upon him like judgment. A Jedi in Mandalorian armor, standing victorious among warriors the Republic considered terrorists. In the Enclave's sacred chamber, surrounded by ancient banners and watched by warriors who'd become family, Anakin Skywalker ceased to exist. The man who knelt was a Jedi Knight. The one who rose was something new. The ceremony was simple, no grand speeches or elaborate rituals, just warriors recognizing another who'd proven himself through blood and sacrifice. Tarek placed a hand on Anakin's shoulder, the gesture carrying weight of brotherhood that no Jedi Council appointment ever could. The name they gave him, Anakin Vizsla, wasn't just honorary. It was adoption into a lineage stretching back to the first Mandalorian Jedi. He built a hybrid weapon to match his dual nature, a lightsaber Beskad that channeled both Beskar resilience and Kyber purity, its blade humming with harmonized energy that shouldn't exist, yet did. Bo-Katan presented him with a cloak bearing both Mandalorian Iron Heart and Jedi Order symbols intertwined, heresy to both traditions, truth to him. He began leading joint Republic Mandalorian missions, earning admiration from clones and Mandalorians alike. Rex and his men started painting Mandalorian symbols on their armor in solidarity. From this day forward, you are Orivad, elder brother to all of us. This is the way. May you walk between worlds and unite them. The 501st adapted to fighting alongside Mandalorian knights, creating tactics that blended clone discipline with warrior ferocity. But maintaining this double life grew harder. The Council sensed his distance, his attachments. Palpatine's manipulations intensified, playing on the growing divide. Anakin found himself keeping secrets from everyone, hiding his Mandalorian identity from the Jedi, his Jedi nature from some Mandalorians, and his growing doubts from both. Only in battle, where identity dissolved into action, did he feel whole. The Senate chamber echoed with skeptical murmurs as Anakin presented his proposal, a formal alliance between the Republic, Mandalore, and the Jedi Order. It would legitimize Mandalorian warriors as Republic allies, end Death Watch through united oppression, and create stability in the Outer Rim. Satine supported it reluctantly, seeing peace through strength as better than endless conflict. Several senators showed interest, recognizing the strategic value. But the Jedi Council's chamber told a different story. Masters Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi led the opposition, citing fundamental incompatibilities between Jedi philosophy and Mandalorian culture. They spoke of attachment leading to the dark side, of warrior codes corrupting peace. Yoda remained silent, his eyes holding knowledge he wouldn't share. The Senate vote came down to Palpatine's recommendation. In public, he praised the innovative thinking. In private, he poisoned the well, whispering to key senators about Mandalorian unpredictability, their history of attacking Jedi. The accord failed by 12 votes, close enough to give hope, far enough to ensure disappointment. They fear what they cannot control, my boy. You've outgrown them. I'm trying to save lives, to end this pointless division. Perhaps the division serves someone's purpose. Consider who benefits from keeping warriors and guardians apart. The failure drove a wedge deeper between Anakin and the Order. He'd offered a path to unity and been rejected by politics and prejudice. Back on Concordia, he threw himself into training, into protecting Mandalorian settlements from Death Watch reprisals. The Knights looked to him for leadership, while the Jedi grew more suspicious of his extended absences. Padme noticed his growing distance, the armor he wore even without the Beskar. The galaxy was choosing sides, and Anakin found himself standing in the narrowing space between them. Republican gunships came at dawn, searchlights turning Concordia's canyons into corridors of harsh white and deeper shadow. Anakin woke to his force senses screaming danger before conscious thought engaged. Explosions rocked the Enclave as Republic troops flooded in, firing at anyone in Mandalorian armor. The intelligence had been falsified. Someone had painted the peaceful Enclave as a Death Watch stronghold. Anakin was armored in seconds, kyber-infused Beskar humming against his skin. He burst out to find chaos, his own men, troops he'd led in countless battles, gunning down warriors who'd become his family. His shouts to stand down went unheeded, helmets filtering out everything but orders. Then he saw Tarek fall beneath concentrated fire, using his last moment to pass his blade to a young warrior, ensuring legacy survived even after life ended. Something inside Anakin shattered and reformed. He moved through Republic forces like death itself, lightsaber no longer just deflecting, but striking, force powers unleashed without restraint. Troopers flew through air, weapons crumbled like paper. The 501st hesitated, confused by their general in Mandalorian armor fighting Republic forces. "General Skywalker, please! These are our orders!" "Wrong orders. These people aren't enemies." "Master, what have you become?" Ahsoka stood at the entrance, lightsabers lowered, eyes wide with growing horror. Behind her, Jedi Knights waited with determination and judgment radiating through the Force. He saw himself reflected in her eyes, blood on armor, standing among bodies of those he'd once commanded. The image burned like a brand. This wasn't a military action, but an execution, orchestrated by someone who wanted the Alliance dead. Palpatine's influence was written in every falsified report, every misdirected order. The survivors looked to Anakin with eyes that asked a simple question: which side would he choose? Funeral pyres burned through the night, smoke carrying names to the stars. Anakin carved each into stone with his lightsaber, creating glass monuments that would outlast the Republic itself. Tarek Vizsla, Cora Wren, Del Ordo. Warriors who died not in battle, but in betrayal orchestrated by shadows and lies. The surviving Mandalorians prepared their dead in silence, their grief too deep for wounds. Bo-Katan found him as the last pyre dimmed to embers, her armor bearing scorch marks and blood. The intelligence had been falsified. Palpatine's signature was all over it, though proving it was impossible. The Republic claimed tragic error, offering reparations that meant nothing to the dead. The Jedi Council expressed regret while demanding Anakin's return for judgment. Neither side could accept what he'd become, a warrior who served conscience over code, who chose family over philosophy. The survivors looked to him for leadership, but he had no homeland to offer them, no banner to raise. They were orphans of two civilizations that refused to coexist. The Council has recalled you. There's still time to explain. Explain that their chosen one chose differently? That the Jedi way isn't the only path to light? You can't serve both creeds anymore. Choose. Anakin looked between them, his former master representing everything he'd been taught to be, Bo-Katan embodying everything he'd learned he was. The choice was no choice at all. He walked toward the waiting ship where the surviving knights gathered. At the ramp, he turned back once, his hybrid armor catching Concordia's pale light. His words about peace being already lost if it meant standing by while innocence burned echoed across the ash-covered ground. Obi-Wan stood alone among the pyres, watching the brother he'd failed to understand disappear into darkness that was somehow still light. 5 years later, the stormtroopers moved through the burning village with imperial efficiency, herding civilians toward transports bound for labor camps, or worse. The Empire's grip had tightened around the galaxy's throat, and planets too small to matter suffered in silence, until the shadow fell from the sky like judgment itself. His armor had evolved, Beskar plates inscribed with names of the fallen, kyber crystals embedded in the gauntlets creating an aurora effect when he moved. The stormtroopers barely raised weapons before he was among them, lightsaber humming its deadly song while Mandalorian gauntlets crushed armor. He fought with styles the Empire couldn't classify, too aggressive for a Jedi, too force-sensitive for a Mandalorian. The Imperial commander, trained to hunt Jedi, activated his electro staff with confidence born from successful kills. But this was no Jedi. The warrior moved like wind and struck like thunder, wielding lightsaber and vibroblade in harmony. When the battle ended, the commander lay defeated, the village saved. "You're the Iron Shadow! The Emperor will reward me for your helmet." "Many have tried. Their helmets decorate my ship." He stood among the ruins and remembered Tarek's laugh, Bo-Katan's loyalty, Obi-Wan's disappointment, Padme's last kiss before disappearing into darkness. On Tatooine, Ben Kenobi felt the familiar presence through the Force like a childhood song in a different key. He stepped outside his hut, looking towards stars with something approaching hope. The legend spread through whispered stories. In the Empire's darkest corners, where hope had died, a shadow moved between stars. He wore Mandalore's armor and wielded the Jedi's blade, answering to no authority but conscience. He was the warrior both creeds had tried to create and failed, because he'd chosen to create himself. The Iron Shadow, last free warrior in a galaxy of slaves. His war had only just begun. If you enjoyed this journey into the shadows of what might have been, remember to hit that subscribe button and join us for more explorations of the infinite possibilities within that galaxy far, far away. May the Force be with you, always.